Welcome back, everyone. We'll be discussing the weekly performance report that also ended the month and also ended the quarter. So, before we get to that, the noticeable activities over the last week, not much going on. I sold Alarum. It popped 50% in 2 days, so seemed like a good time to get out. Perhaps in retrospect, I will feel otherwise if I'm looking back on it and there's a 500% move, after this 50% move, because that is, after all, what needs to happen to get to a 500% move is lots of smaller moves. Nonetheless, that's all I did. Just sold that. I ended the week down 0.28%. I ended June down 7.19%, and that leaves me year to date at 12.94% versus the S&P 500, which is up 15.22%. So last month I had a lead by multiple percentage points. I pretty much gave all that up. I went down, the S&P went up, and here we are. So now I'm lagging again. I don't have much to say in regards. Oh man, Rubicon Organics. I was down. I entered that position. It immediately, within a week, fell 20, 30%. And then in one day, it erased all of that. Like, talk about volatility. Like, who knows where it's going to go next? But it's just fascinating to be down 30%. And then I'm not really sure why, for it to then I'm actually up now. I'm up 0.48%. I just suck. That is just comical. But what I want to say is this. I'm going to write an article on this, and I'll do a video here as well. But since this is this be a super short video, I thought I'd say this. I wanted to say it more articulately, perhaps, and less emotionally. But I'll shoot from the hip here. I'm pretty much burnt out. I've been going hard for a year and a half. No vacation, no nothing in my personal life, or in both in regard to Cup of Coffee Capital, but personal life, combination of the two. And this happens from time to time. Last time it happened was 3 or 4 years ago, and I don't want to say gave up investing, but I reduced it to a bare minimum of participating, paying attention, seeing what's going on, headlines, whatever, for about 3 or 4 months. So I guess you could call that a sabbatical, but it's one of those things I go till I notice I start burning out and stop caring as much and start pursuing other things. Like lately I've been taking up bicycling, learning Spanish, just things that aren't investing relating, as it consumes a lot of my life because I'm passionate about it and interested in it, and it's a worthwhile pursuit and makes you money. That's why we have jobs, is to make money. But I've been getting even more burnt out in regard to YouTube, as it shadow banned me essentially for a few good months for putting links to my articles in the description. So that kind of irritated me. And then even without that, here I am 18 months into making videos and I'm at 200 subscribers. It's 200 more than zero. And one could say that if it was an investing account, the rate of growth of this is good, but it kind of irritates me. And then my Twitter account, I don't know, is it like 100 followers? And what's really funny is I essentially trolled someone. They made a post. I kind of poked fun at them in a friendly kind of fashion, and they retweeted it. And it's funny, in that moment of them retweeting it, like 10 people followed me, because this person had, I don't know, tens of thousands of followers. and 10 people followed me. And I thought that was incredible. Like, do you think these people did any due diligence? Or they're like, oh, this guy said something funny. Ah, ha, ha, let me follow. It's like, is that how cavalier people are in people they follow on Twitter? And the answer is yes. And then they just dilute their following base. And I assume they mute a lot of people. I'm not really sure what they're doing or what they're up to. And you know, this is a good example, which now that I'm spitballing here, there's an individual who did a write-up a few months ago, I don't know, March, April, something like that, on this company, saying tin bagger and this and that. And then seemingly, so this is the point of this story is the importance of having a following that you can actually follow, because otherwise you might not catch on to this as I did. And a couple of months later, they sell out of it after a 50% gain. And then they say, and then they don't announce that, which is whatever. And that could be good, bad. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But then they said something, they got somehow prompted, and then they said they kind of think it's at fair value. And it's like, what? Okay, so here this person is saying that something has a 5 or 10 bagger potential. And then after a 50% up move says that it's fairly valued and they sell out of it. Now that's interesting. And then after the stock fell, they got back in it. But it felt like, you know, let's say it fell 20%, and then they got back in it. But it's like, well, it's close to fairly valued. Like, it's at the price that they seemingly around, within a few dollars, around the point, let's call it 20% from when they sold it. So they sold it saying it's getting close to being fairly valued, and then it went up some more, and then it fell back to the point where they probably sold it because it was getting close to fair value, and then they bought it some more. And it's like, this is a very interesting character that I'm now going to have to follow, because how much of this is a full of shit stock promoter, pumper type person? You know, gets some right, gets some wrong, talks a good talk. I'm really curious, and I don't have an answer yet to that question. But to see people like that, I don't know why I got on that tangent. So what I was talking about is I got like 10 followers. Oh yeah, that's why. I said I got 10 followers, and they probably didn't do any due diligence on my Twitter account or my posts or my videos. They just followed me because I said something funny, and they diluted their followings, and therefore they wouldn't see things like the story I just told you. That's why I brought it up. Okay. And then there's another guy on Twitter, and Twitter, YouTube, whatever, Substack, they're interchangeable for these examples. He's been on there for, I don't know, 2 or 3 months and has already gained a few thousand followers. And pretty much what he does is post much of the same stuff over and over again. Now, here's an example for me. I wrote an article. Now, I should have done a thread. In all fairness, I should have done a thread, but I didn't. So I wrote the article on Grown Rogue, which is my pinned thing on Twitter. So I wrote an article on Grown Rogue, posted it, people read it, and that's that. Like, nothing's really changed. Now, what this person is essentially doing is writing, instead of an article, a Twitter thread on Grown Rogue, and then, like, every 2 or 3 days, rehashing the same stuff they already wrote, and then doing that for weeks, and then saying the same stuff for days, weeks, months on end, reposting just slightly worded differently time and time again. And it's like, what? Now, I'm not a typical person. There's things I don't understand why. I don't understand Facebook, Meta. The concept on an abstract, intellectual level, I can understand why it would be attractive, but it doesn't resonate with me at all. This whole saying the same shit 30 times over, I really don't get. Or all this nonsensical, I don't know, meme posting nonstop. It's like, I get it. You get some buddies and this and that, and you would joke with them, so you're kind of doing that online as well. I get it, but it's like you have a lot of intelligent things. There's some people that have a lot of intelligent things to say, and yet you rarely find that in their tweets. Instead, it's just a bunch of just nonsense and a bunch of cynical, sarcastic, snide comments and jokes and this and that. And it's like what? And I guess what I'm saying is I've marketed myself, so to speak, my style, and I've done, it's not successful marketing because, well, the market has spoke. I have less than 200 subscribers on YouTube after 18 months, and I don't know, 100 Twitter followers, half of them are probably prostitutes, and then, well, like 40 subscribers. And I'm not saying this to boo-hoo, it would be hubristic of me to say, oh, everybody's an idiot and they don't value me. I mean, yet again, I wrote an article about, oh, what article was it? Oh, it was about Midwhip meme. And I talked about the Secret King and all that stuff. Well, at the end of the day, the way I do things is not attractive to that many people. Fair enough. I write these articles. I've said this since day, well, one of the big reasons why I do what I do is for myself. I write these articles for myself. I'm dead serious. I do it for myself. It's funny because other people do it, but then they charge you for it. And it's funny, they say, I like writing because it helps with my thought process. Like, okay, so you were going to write the article regardless. Well, why not just share it for free and help the community out? And the answer is, why do that when you can monetize it? And, I guess I'm not going to knock people's hustle and get it how you can, I suppose. But if you were writing it anyway, then I don't know. It's like it was of no cost to you. You were going to do it regardless, right? So, I don't know. And same thing with, you see this with a lot of people. I've had a few arguments with people on Twitter or even in real life when they say, blah, blah, the most recent example I remember is someone talking about how much Green Thumb would save if 280E taxes went away. And I was like, where's your evidence? Where's your math? What are you talking about? Like, how are you getting to the multiple? And they're saying, it should be worth this, and it's worth this now. And once 280E goes away, this is how much money they save. And I was like, where's your evidence for any of this stuff? Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, it's proprietary research. I mean, that's not what they said, but it was like, oh, that's for me to know and you to find out. It was like, oh, so you're just pulling shit out your ass is what you're doing. And there's just, I don't know. I mean, I don't think these are the reasons why things are, I guess this is the rambling version of the article I'm going to publish. It isn't that these things are wearing me down, it's that I'm getting worn down, so therefore I'm developing a heightened sensitivity to these kinds of things. And I'm not trying to be despondent or self-pity. I know I'm just tired and need to relax and recoup. That's why I haven't been writing articles. It's just like, I'd rather go ride a bicycle or something. Like, I really, for all intents and purposes, I really don't care about, like, whatever, Glass House goes up, it goes down. St. Joe goes up, it goes down. Like whatever, man. Do I want it to go up? Yes. Do I still follow along press releases? Yes. Do I still listen to the conference calls or read them? Yes. But yeah, I'm burnt out, and I'm not driven to really write anything. Because if you had paid subscribers, or if you just had a lot of subscribers that were free, you might feel a communal obligation to keep putting forth just writings and such and videos. But I really don't have that. I mean, there are some dedicated listeners to these videos, and I appreciate that. And same thing with my writings. I'm one or two people. I mean, you can really make a difference. If you can really change one person's life, people say these things, but it's true. Like if, 40 subscribers on Substack changes one of those subscribers' life, that very well could be worth it. But I don't know, 200, 140 YouTube subscribers, Twitter followers, and Substack. And it's not like even people really even engage with me or acknowledge my writing. Like I put things out there about Grown Rogue. Did anyone say to me, hey, you got these numbers wrong, or hey, good thinking, wow, or hey, you didn't consider, like, there's no peer engagement of pros and cons, pushback, nothing. I mean, sometimes there is, but for the most part, not really. If I do a tweet, some idiot has to go say something stupid because, well, they're ideologically pathologized. It's just like, I just kind of, and some of my favorite YouTube creators have like 20,000 followers. They've been, and then other channels in the same category that they operate in, this isn't investing I'm talking about either, have like 200,000 followers. And I'm like, how is this possible? That other guy is this mainstream, whatever, platitude, still has good information, don't get me wrong, but this 20,000 person is tons better, more articulate, less black and white, more nuanced, more contextualized. And since the world is a very complex place, you actually do kind of need that nuance and context to aid you in your own personal situation. And this 20,000 account, there's a couple of them, are much better at offering that than others. And it's just, I don't know. It bothers me, it irritates me, it kind of makes me not want to do it, and I kind of don't want to do it anyway. And now I'm burnt out on top of all of that, so I'm not doing it. Because the other reason I'm doing all of this is to demonstrate to people that you can beat the stock market, or at least it's worth a try because you're, well, theoretically, or it's worth finding out if you could be off in a better place alternatively. For instance, that's why it's called cup of coffee capital. People want to complain about how they don't have any money for investing, but then they go buy Starbucks Frappuccinos at the local gas station, or do this or do that. And it's like, cup of coffee capital, $50 a week, whatever. That's just, it could be 25, it could be 100, like whatever. A week, add it up. If you don't lose your ass, you can think of it at least as some kind of a savings account. And then a couple years down the road, $50 a week, $2,500 a year, 2 years, $5,000. Even if you lost 40 or 20% of that, didn't do well, made some mistakes, over position size, whatever it may be, well, you got $4,000. That's $4,000 you wouldn't have had alternatively because you would have blown it. So, like, whatever. But I would like to think that maybe you could actually beat the market and aspire and research and be more productive with your time and this and that. So I was writing stuff to myself. So, well, might as well just share that with people. Maybe they got some pushback, some ideas. I can aspire others. And as an evidence trail of my development and my attempt to beat the market. That's why this channel exists. And so it'll continue to exist. Don't think it's not going to. I could have no subscribers, and I'll at least, if I had no subscribers on YouTube, I'd just stop making the videos. But I'll keep writing regardless. And I would say, to end this, don't expect much out of me for the next few months. I need to take I had the word earlier in my mind. A sabbatical. Not religiously. And if the past is prologue, then this might be a few months. And it's gone on now for a few weeks. I was trying to fight it. I pushed out some pieces I wrote. The Rubicon Organics was That's why it was so short. I was actually making it into a typical cup of coffee capital 5,000, 7,000 word article, and I was just crumbling, and I was like, well, I at least want to publish this, and so I reduced it and shortened it and just kind of said what needed to be said, which is a practice I need to get better at anyway, which is saying less. And here's the meat and potatoes, and if that interests you, then go look at it further and ask some questions, which of course no one has. And I struggled through that, so I published that, and I think now it's just been a couple of weeks of the weekly performance report, and I suspect it'll be that way for a while. Maybe I'll publish some stuff, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll really talk about some tangentially associated things to the financial realm. Who knows? I don't know. And with that said, I'll just stop rambling, and thank you for watching, and until next time.